What's going on, everyone? Sorry, I got a little bit double feed over here. Sorry, double checking on what was going on. Catskill was in here a second ago. Guess a little technical difficulties. I may have just screwed up and accidentally booted her too. So, Catskill, if you're watching, go ahead and hop back in here. It sounds like the audio is coming through all right. Every once in a while, you may hear a beep. I apologize on that. But little thing. Let's see here if I can get this to do what I want it to. Doesn't look like I'm going to. Joe crashed early, huh? Well, that sucks. I know he'd be here. I appreciate it, though. Go ahead and give Catskill another minute here. Let's see if I can get this. I am not a professional and do not claim to be. Trying to keep it to where I can still see the chat on the side here. All right, that's as good as we're gonna get. Oh, so how's it going, everyone? 5x5. Okay. A lot going on these days, huh? We're gonna go ahead and jump in here and talk about family. The nuclear family. Are we looking back in the 50s now to where we should all be smiling and running to the bomb shelters with everything they got going on? Or should we be more worried about the nuclear family just being what it should be? A family. Families are different. Families have lots of different things. You can have extended family. You can have diverse family. You can have all kinds of things. But if you're willing to look out for the one right next to you and give everything you got for them, then your family. What's going on, Dub Season? And K Titus, all the way over in Japan. I hope everything's going good over there, brother. Hope all them little ones are doing them better too. Let's see here. Oh, I see a blip. Let's see what's going on this time. Can you hear me now? There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
I did
right.
not connect my AirPods, so
Yeah.
technical difficulties here.
Can understand that.
How you guys doing tonight?
We got 7 watching, so there's some people here.
True American Loretta, she's my fave. Good to see you, lady. Thank you for joining. And thank you for having me, Silverback. It's nice to finally chat a little bit one-on-one with you.
Definitely. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I mean,
oh no, I appreciate you asking for sure.
Always sharing your stuff over there on Instagram and stuff. If anybody doesn't know, go check her out on Instagram as well.
Thank you. I kind of moved more towards Instagram than YouTube. It's just easier, with the child that doesn't sleep and life. It's just, really quick to vomit information and connect with people really easily with no artistic, at least on my end, value.
Yeah, well, it still takes a little bit of artsy there to get some of that going, but
some of it, yeah. Some of it that you see takes more time than anyone would want to believe.
I agree with that. That's just about like any content creator making videos can.
Yeah.
The people that don't make content have no clue on some of that stuff.
No, but, much respect to everyone that does it systematically daily. Like you just said, you wanted to get back on it. It's easy to move away from it and not keep up with it, and consistency is always important.
Yeah, definitely. Getting away with it or away from it there. doing all this stuff around his homestead and trying to get it all
Yeah.
going and all that kind of stuff, and just finding the time. Like I've said before, I'm one of the ones to where if there's something need to be done, I just need to jump in and do it. I don't
Yeah.
do like these other people, set the camera up at this angle. Okay, you're going to see me do it this way. And then 5 minutes later, we're going to move the camera. And I've got to get stuff done. I mean,
Yeah, I agree with you. Anytime I'm, and I do a lot of food preserving and like gardening, and anytime I try to like capture a video, the task that I want done takes about 30,000 times longer, and sometimes doesn't always get completed the same day. So it's frustrating. So it's a balance of wanting to show something, but also getting your things done. And then also, there is a lot of people like, how many jars of jelly do you need to see canned? No, there's a million of them, and they're all great. And I probably learned from them. So,
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of overlapping information out there. I guess it'd be a good way of looking at it.
Right.
A nice way, anyway.
Yeah.
But no, I kind of wanted to pick your brain a little bit tonight about just what you feel. Okay, let's cut through all the BS. Warning going out there right now to any, like always, my channel is not a safe place. Okay, so everybody's free to kind of be what they want here and say what they want and all that kind of stuff. And if you don't like it, well, once again, this channel is not for you. But I kind of did a little bit of clip art there, snapping it around real quick about the nuclear family. And I kind of thought it was funny to have some of that stuff in the background of, like the 50s and stuff. A lot of people think, that Americana, that sweet spot maybe in American history where everything at least looked, all happy and go lucky kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, well, nowadays, just all the stuff we look at seems to be attacking that alone and the family as well. So,
I mean, my feeling is it's something in between, right? I recall my mother telling me, she was born 1949, graduated in 1967, and I recall her saying to me, my life was not Leave It to Beaver, right? So that's important to note. However, the swing of everything is extreme as well, right? So it's okay to, know that not everyone's family was perfect and everything was, the nuclear family was perfect. And, I don't have heels on and an apron every day, as my husband would attest, with, like fresh baked bread in the oven, looking perfect and with a smile on my face every day. But you know what? It doesn't need to be the polar opposite either, and I think any extreme of anything is, we're losing stuff. We're losing things in between.
Oh, I fully agree. I mean, everything in moderation. I mean, no matter how you look at it, everything in moderation. And I mean, I agree with the whole, that 50s idea or that picture perfect thing is just, it's a picture. Nothing back then was perfect.
No.
But things were definitely a lot more America
wholesome.
First. Yeah, that as well. There was a lot of things that definitely did not get away with.
Wholesome first, and some of those things might have like overshadowed some negativity, right? Like like put the family above like things that needed to be addressed that might not have been good. I get that, but right now we're so quick, right, to quit on relationships, marriages, families, children, people in general. Like, nothing's perfect. So like if you're, I think a millennial now and some of our older kids generation, like waking up thinking everything's got to be a certain way, like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. And a lot of people nowadays thinks everything is either owed to them or should just be handed to them. And that to me has to come from, your raising. I'm sorry, I'll say it, but
I agree with you.
Because I mean, I was taught nothing's given to you. You have to earn everything every step of the way.
Fight for it.
Hmm.
You know, I agree. You know, I didn't come from a rich family, and you know, my mom worked full time. My dad worked full time, opposite shifts, and they were in law enforcement. And I don't, to be honest, I don't know how my mom did it. She was, you know, like writing for my soccer club. I every day went to a different activity. She was the Girl Scout leader in 2 troops. I mean, like I really don't know how she did it, to be honest with you. And then when she did finally pass, so many people spoke out and told me about what she did for them all these times, and it was incredible. But she was just someone that kept going and going and going and doing, and just didn't skip a beat. And I admire that. And, you know, I do my best to live in that shadow, I guess.
I can definitely see that. I don't think you should live in her shadow, but I think you should honor her memory. Maybe would be
That's what, yeah,
there you
better,
go.
better choice of words for sure. Thank you.
But I can't even see where I live. I'm middle America, you know, Boot Hill, Missouri. So there's a lot of stuff that, like, say, you will probably see, or people around, you know, in your area would definitely see that I'm not going to around here.
Mm-hmm,
You know, I mean,
mm-hmm.
they still got Trump flags waving everywhere around here and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff, you know. So, I
we
mean,
got them too. You'd be surprised. We do have them.
I believe it. I just, everything is
But yeah,
definitely,
but it's New York, so it's very different.
everything's definitely a little, I don't necessarily want to say slower paced around here, but still has a lot more values kind of
Mm-hmm,
first
mm-hmm.
mentality instead of what's new, or, you know, what's the new
What's
thing, or
what's
however you want to look
in?
at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like what should we change our Facebook profile picture to? Like, oh, we're all doing Ukraine now. Oh, we're all doing, oh, you know, I got my, you know, jab. I got, you know, like it's silly stuff.
Yeah. And then, you know, of course, us in this kind of area, which I've never really seen myself as a prepper,
Mm,
I guess. It's just, I mean, it's how my grandparents raised me. You know, they always, that was when I started this channel, that's exactly
um,
what I said. He always told me to get ready for tornado season and for winter,
yeah, yeah,
because you're going to need stuff for both. So,
yeah,
I mean, that was just, that's how they lived. They grew their own garden. They grew their own food. They,
yeah,
you know, had to can all that stuff so that way when winter got here, they
yeah,
had food all the way through the winter.
yeah. I definitely so my mom gardening and doing all that stuff. Canning and preserving, definitely not. I did have friends and family that did it, and I remember, I mean, I can think back at like 17 or 18 being fascinated by it, blown away that you could take soup or beans and put it in a jar and have it in your pantry. I didn't even know that could exist, even though obviously with, you know, canning. So
Yeah.
for someone that likes to cook, it was definitely a natural progression. And when the pandemic hit or whatever, it was a really great opportunity for me to explore those things and kind of like dive into it. And that's kind of what I did. So, hey,
Okay.
Independent Mary, good to see you.
What's going on?
Um,
And Green Thumb in there. Please start over.
yeah.
You
Oh,
haven't missed much. You haven't missed much yet.
hey, Green Thumb. Yeah, it's been a while. But as far as family, yeah, it's. I think you and I, it's interesting. We have very interesting parallels because we have older children and younger children, and that I don't know about your experience, but I'll speak for myself. It's greatly different, especially being in New York, of how upbringing. I mean, greatly different, but similar. Obviously, values are the same, but different in just perspective on things and where we're going with things.
And I can agree with you. I know my eldest, he's 21 now. So, you know, you think back 10 years ago, I mean, just that short time, 10 years,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, that's a whole nother world compared to what we see today
right.
on almost any scale.
for sure. 100%. 5 years ago to me is like a world ago almost. It was teetering, but we're right there. Yeah.
And I mean, it's one of those things that I just can't understand the mentality of some of these parents that are taking their children to some of these events, let alone the ones that are allowing it to be brought to their children in like the schools and stuff. I can't.
Or allowing their children, like we have to worry about internet and like people showing kids things on the internet or other kids showing things on the internet. But now the library school books, I mean, this is overwhelming of the amount of evidence of what's in the actual like library and some of the curriculums of different places.
Yeah, oof. I don't know. I guess I'm still trying to tiptoe around certain things here and trying to be polite, and I don't know why I'm doing that. But.
Don't do it. I mean, here's my thing. At the end of the day, I'm okay with anyone doing what they want as adults, right? Like, you know what? It's a free country, and I always say it's free, and some things I disagree with and I don't like and whatever. But you know what? If people are living their life freely and in a respectful manner in their own home, like, you know, doing whatever it is they want, that's fine. But when you're bringing weird stuff and putting it onto kids and like making it like more of a thing, no, I disagree with that. And I refuse to have my child around that. And I'll be the first to say it. I don't care.
Oh, no. I'll fully agree with you that, and I can give you credit for saying it as well. I'm just, the thing that I find extremely funny is if you were to ask the parents that would allow for these people that are dressing up and coming in and dancing in the libraries, if you ask that parent, okay, well, since they're able to do it, it's okay to bring a woman stripper in here in front of the kids, right?
Good point.
That would be, they'd burn the school down.
Oh yeah, those moms
so
don't
why is it okay for a man to come in and do the exact same thing as being dressed as a woman? I can't grasp that.
and it's not even a lot of these things aren't like innocent based. It's not just like a man dressed as a woman that you wouldn't even know, a child wouldn't know, and some silly song and dance. A lot of it is really graphic, and that again is making sexuality acceptable at an early age, and it doesn't need to be there. I mean, we literally as parents need to fight to make it not there, because when we were growing up, you couldn't see the things that they can see now so easily. Right? Like, I mean, maybe someone had a magazine, maybe someone had a channel, you could see a blurry line of something, and it was like a weird thing, but right?
Yeah.
But now it is, all it will take is someone with a phone walking into your child's classroom next to your child and just showing them all sorts of stuff. Innocently too, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah,
and once that happens at a young age, it's damaging.
Yep.
Especially, it's damaging probably at any age, to be honest with you, but it's damaging at a young age.
And to allow these teachers in there that are not only allowing it to be acceptable, but promoting it.
Yes.
That, like I said, I really cannot understand the logic behind it.
No,
I just don't understand it, because it's allowing for everything else to kind of come in, and then you see the people trying to talk about, you know, what are they calling them now? MAPS, minor attracted people,
pedophiles. I'll just say.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm fixing to
shut down
I
your
was fixing
screen,
to. No, we're gonna do it. We're gonna go there.
You invited me, so I just say how I feel. So.
Oh no, you are free and more than welcome to do so. Because in my opinion, I'll go ahead and say it, and this one probably will get us kicked. But Green Thumb's exactly right. The teachers and everybody else are groomers. They're setting the children up to be allowed to have things like that be done to them.
Yeah.
And anyone that is thinking that's okay or anything else, I don't care what Facebook, I don't care what anyone else says, you're a groomer.
Yeah.
And you're as evil as the people that are going to perpetrate
Yeah.
any of those
Yeah.
kind of acts.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Grief I'm Prepper. I try to have that philosophy. Appreciate it.
but
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And you know, it was funny because my husband and I were talking about, like, you know, schooling. You know, my son's only 4, and you know, I said to him, it's like, I'm not against schooling, and to be honest, I've said this on many times. Homeschooling was never my dream. I wasn't like dreaming of homeschooling. But I don't like what I see in New York State. So if I have the opportunity, which I feel like I'm lucky enough to have that I could homeschool him, you know, I would prefer to like create that environment. So we also thought, oh, is there a private school? Well, when you look at the curriculum of some of these private schools, they're worse in New York State, and I'm talking about New York State. They're worse than the regular schools. And I'm not talking about New York City. I'm talking about in the woods, you know, like, you know, bears and everything else. We're 2 hours out of New York City. Like we're not in Manhattan. And, you know, one of the things was for the first, second, and third graders was what was it? It was something to do with like social issues, and it described it, and it was like BLM was in it and everything else. And it was just like, I looked into the curriculum and I showed him, and he was like, oh yeah, like I don't like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, this is what is trickling up from Manhattan into New York State, and that's where we're at.
sorry, little one's hollering
No,
in the
no,
background.
oh
I was
no,
trying to,
I don't care. I zone it out. It's fine, totally fine.
but yeah, and I mean that's like around here. There are some schools like it. Like I mean, I'm 2 hours south of St. Louis, so I mean, you would
Yeah,
figure St. Louis, like New
big
York,
city.
another big
Yeah.
city, going to be real common there. And I mean, I find, well, one of my kids, my little girl, actually brought home a book that is kind of like a when I say graphic novel, I mean comic book graphic novel that was just about some people in there. And see, from my area, the fact that there was two females that were together in this
Mm-hmm,
book,
mm-hmm.
not anything bad, just it flat out stated it,
Right,
so
right,
that
right.
was it.
Right, there were a
But
couple.
just in
Yeah.
my area, that's kind of starting to get to be a pretty big jump there from you know
It's
where my oldest was in
it's a
school.
slippery slope for sure. For sure.
And I don't have any disagreements because I have the same opinion that you do of as long as they're not hurting anybody and it's what somebody wants to do and that's them and whatever,
Mm-hmm,
then
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
more power to you. Honestly, live your life,
Right.
make yourself as happy as you possibly can until you're no
Especially
longer
if you
here.
just live yourself like a respectful individual and, like, you know, respectful member of society. Like, who am I to judge, right? You know, like, whatever, you know?
Well, it's about like all these, kind of like the social issues, really the people that are the loudest when it comes to all these social issues, or however you want to look at it, have absolutely nothing to do with what's going on. Let's face facts. More than half
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
Black Lives Matter protesters were white college kids.
Exactly. Yeah, and I have one of them who told me she was at one early on, and I was like, "Are you out of your mind?" Up in Albany, and I'm like, "Get out of there!" Like, and it's funny because now she's 2 years older and she's a smart girl, and she's kind of like she's starting to swing on a lot of things because she thought I was crazy, and I was like, "No, I'm the same person I always have been. Like, fundamentally, I'm just not like." Seeing these silly things that you got, I mean, she's, way younger, But it's funny because now she's starting to become more of an adult and sees adult issues and doesn't like a lot of stuff. And she literally said to me, I wish you wouldn't homeschool Patrick, but I can understand why you don't want him in school anymore.
There you
I'm
go.
like, thank you. Thank you. Because I wasn't like that with her. I mean, of course, I was younger and, that played into it a little bit, but there wasn't these concerns. I wasn't concerned that, in kindergarten, she was going to be groomed to be a social justice warrior. Like that's what's going on in, here right now.
Yeah, or anything else for that matter nowadays.
But you know what the real shame is, and it's funny because you and I are talking from different parts of the country, and certainly you're at an advantage with some of this stuff, but it is trickling all over really fast. So whereas I'm in New York and I'm like, okay, these are things I don't like about New York, but these are things I do, and it's like, wow, it's like kind of everywhere, and it's getting everywhere real fast. Even though I do think people at different places in the country are at a more of an advantage for sure. It's interesting, right? Like seeing how fast things happen over the last few years.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. That's like it seems like everything that happens, no matter what it is, it starts out there on the coast, and then it just slowly, like you said, trickles its way right to the center of the country, and then by the time it hits here, there's something else going on out there coming in.
Yeah,
it's just wave after wave, and it can feel pretty crushing sometimes, especially as a parent looking, like I've said before on previous ones, I would love for my kids to just have this simple. I mean, I didn't grow up, in a perfect little, the picture perfect thing that we're talking about earlier, nothing like that.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents damn near worked themselves to death a couple times, working as hard as they possibly could.
Yeah.
But I would still much rather my kids grew up in a life like what I had than what it looks like they're going to have.
Yes. And I think that's the difference. I know with my daughter who is 24 and she's an awesome girl, but the minute she was given a cell phone, and like I guess an iPhone or whatever it was back then, and she was probably like ninth grade. She had a phone before, but it was very limited. But when it was, so I would take her and her younger brother on the weekend because I was divorced, and I would take them, oh, let's go, play mini golf. Let's do this. If there wasn't Wi-Fi, you would have thought this child's kidney was cut out. It was so bad that it would ruin the time for my younger son and I. It was really bad. So, I say to my husband now, like when I see certain things with like, oh my son's really he gravitates to YouTube because he likes certain things. He like wants to build robots. He likes to watch it, and it's cool. But if you walk away and they start clicking, they're all down they're down a rabbit hole. A 4-year-old's down a rabbit hole, and next thing I know, he's watching all this weird stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, I'm a bad mom. Why are you watching YouTube? But it's really interesting how quick that happens, and that's why that metaverse thing where they put on their head, like I'm just trying to steer clear of anything like that. Like I didn't need something on my daughter's head. She had a phone in her pocket, and that ruined everything. So yeah.
Yeah, see, you knew more about it than what I did. I've heard of the metaverse, and
No, don't
connected.
go there.
I know it's connected to like Facebook and stuff like that, but as for slipping something on your head, that was.
Oh no, it's a head thing they put on, or anyone can put on, and I think it's not even just like a video game. It's like you could click into the metaverse to anything, like and go as dark as you want with that. Like it's weird stuff. So this is the thing. Like I feel like the whatever, want us to put these things on, be drugged, high, dumb, stupid, and put these things on and just lay in a corner. Because that is really, because it's sensory overload, because when the sensory goes to like that level, like normal stuff doesn't give you that endorphins anymore, because you have all this in like, I mean, if you could fly over certain places in the world, that would be interesting, rather than just taking a drive down a country road, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so it's you know, there's aspects of it that you could say, oh, that's cool, but it should be limited. It shouldn't be something you come home and you throw that on your head and, you know, go live in the metaverse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what keeps a person from being a junkie, no matter what it is?
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
mean,
mm-hmm.
once again, we're back to moderation,
Right,
and
right.
I think we've been over moderated in certain areas, and the areas that needed it haven't even been touched.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Because you said something about kind of the part about being dumb, and I'm sure you've dealt with this when it comes to, well, at least before you started homeschooling anyway, the way they started doing different math. And
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's even in the Incredibles movie, you know, I mean, math is math. And I've seen it.
I wasn't ever great in math, so like certainly like when they started changing the Common Core and all that stuff, I was like, oh my God, you know, like this is not for me. And I think they're just making it more difficult these days with those certain like ways of doing stuff. I don't, am I wrong? I don't think most of the world does it that way.
I don't think so either. And the rest of the world, as far as I know, 2 + 2 is still 4. You don't take 2 + 2 and then, well, we're
Right.
going to
Yeah.
add 6 in
Yeah.
here and try to get to 10, and then we'll see how much we have to come back. And then
Yeah.
you know, before you know it, you've got a paragraph of a problem to find out what 2 + 2 is.
Right. Agreed.
So, I mean,
Yeah, I don't understand. And I also am in the camp now that it's like when you see and I understand what the extreme things that we see online, it's not the average person. You know, I have family that are teachers and things like that. So I know like the normal person isn't like the normal weirdo, but um you know, when I see these things, I'm like, why do we have to assume that these people are the people that should be teaching our children best, right? Like, or they've been designed to know better than us? Because I don't think so. I will tell you right now that my son, you know, there's so much that I feel like I could do better, but you know, like today he was like cutting his paperwork and made a little like, you know, like a little snowman, and he knows his ABCs and 1 through 30, and 1 through 30 before 4 year or at 4 years old is a little more at the advanced level. You know, he's still learning. He's not perfect. I'm not trying to brag about my son, but it's it's almost like, why do I think that someone's going to teach him better than I can teach him? You know, and then I get all this time with him. And you know, as a parent, right? You said like, I wish they were still 4. There's
yeah.
it's like what Jordan Peterson says, it's a magical time between when they're a baby and 4. It's just so like I don't want to miss a moment of it. He drives me nuts. Keeps me busy. I can't make a video, but you know what? You'll
And
never get this time again. And why do I want to hand it over to some, you know, little snot that thinks she knows better than me? And it's gonna. I remember my parents. I love my parents very much. I remember thinking in high school that they like ruined my life because the ozone layer was gonna burn out. And I've said this on many different like lives in my own lives, but how funny is that I was convinced the ozone layer, there was holes. I hated my parents. They didn't recycle. Like that was all taught in school, by the way. Like
mm-hmm.
that's what I was and I came home crying one day, ripping apart of the cabinets, making different bins for everything. Like I was like full on. I was invested.
Oh yeah, they made it seem like, you know, end of the world. I mean,
The ozone layers, they were burning your eyes out and everything else.
You know, we can get into the whole climate change and things like that that went
Oh,
way and
I'm
above
all into the,
beyond there
yeah,
too.
grand solar minimum. I'm there. I'm not into this climate change stuff, so
And I mean, I fully agree with what you just said about, you know, the schools and everything. I mean, thankfully in our area we've got some good schools. We do have, you know, things are not drag week, we'll put it that way, running through the schools. So I mean, that's at least a plus to start there.
yeah.
But then I've also looked at my aunt is a nurse, or a nurse. My wife's a nurse. My aunt is a teacher over in Arizona,
Mhm.
and
Mhm. Mhm.
she'd be right on board, you know, hollering about all these others that act the way they do.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's not like we're trying to say everybody all together, but
Of course not. Of course not.
who's going to be able to raise your kid and teach your kid better than you? Period.
Right, right. And then, everything is more like a social system. So it's even if, you got good teachers wanting to do the right thing, it's just like good doctors doing the wrong thing. Do I think every doctor during the pandemic was trying to do the wrong thing? No, I think they were just so listen, I just went to my doctor like just for annual blood work and I asked him, I was like, "Oh, so if I do get the, VID, like what is your protocol? Because I know you're a big operation. Like I'm trying to say, like, I know you have a protocol. It's not you're not free thinking. Like, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, well, basically you're not a person that really needs anything, so you don't get anything." That was basically what I was told. And it was like, if you get sick enough, then you can go to the hospital. Now, um, after 2 years, and my poor husband had it twice, I didn't get it, and then finally, I think I got it this last summer, I'm pretty sure, but I didn't test, and, I felt, like, really crummy, which wasn't normal for me, and I was like, "Oh, this is it," and I waited a few days, and then I had that Chase Medical, and I took the what is it? The Z-Pack. Within, like, 24 hours, I was fine. Like, not no, I'm sorry, like, 4 hours, I was fine. I was fine, like, totally fine, and I took that because he was prescribed that from his doctor, who had also prescribed him some other things that were very controversial, and it just makes you wonder, like, these people that are put in charge of things are not the smartest because they're not willing to fall out of line to do probably what they were trained and known to do. Because it's all like everything is like cattle in a stall.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, all physicians, while they have about a 30-minute class, I think it is on it, that's all they
Definitely
get.
like nutrition, yeah, right?
Yeah, on nutrition and anything to do well with natural remedies.
Yes.
You know, if they even get the 30 minutes on it. Other than that, it's pharma this, pharma that. You know, stuff a
Yeah,
pill in them,
yeah,
give them a shot, send them
yeah,
down the road.
yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah, I
remember being
mean,
a kid and you had one doctor. You know, you
I had the
when
same doctor my entire life, and he actually was my daughter's doctor. Because
and
he
he
ran the same pediatric office my entire life.
and he probably
Yeah.
did everything originally too before he
Oh,
went to just
yeah.
being like just a pediatric doctor. He probably,
Mhm,
you know, because
mhm.
that's what I was talking about there. You had, you know, whether you broke an arm or you
Yeah.
needed surgery or
Yep.
baby being, it was all the same doctor. Now
Yeah.
you tell me how we have changed that much in this short time to where nowadays you get a little sick and you've got to go in and see 30
Yeah.
different specialists and still come out just as bad as you were when you went in.
Well, I mean, and then you have a whole team coding behind it of what every code for every insurance bill they're gonna, you know, send to the doctors, send to the hospitals, and then send to you, and probably double up on each.
Yeah. Yeah.
I worked for the medical field early on, and I did more like I'm an esthetician, so I do like skincare and more like beauty stuff. But I worked for plastic surgeons, and I worked in medical offices, And I saw very quickly early on how, even though gifted these people were, how stupid they were. And I don't mean to be rude, but I guess I am rude. My husband's laughing at me. But they they were just like not that bright. And I said, "Oh, how do you know this? And how do you know that?" And they go, "Oh, as people are talking to us, we just Google things." And I'm like, because you can't like memorize everything, right? Like every illness, every this, every that. And they're like, no, you just Google it as they're talking to you. So gifted at their skill set, yes, maybe, and test taking and whatever. But like, no, these people were like kind of some of the dumbest people I ever like was around, to be honest with you. And this is why every successful medical practice has like a very good like director or business person or whatever it is behind, running it, because they're good at what they do, which is fine, but they're not good at like the whole picture.
No, I can see that, and I'll kind of touch in on that too. In my opinion, I think Google has turned everyone into a con artist, quite simply, because you're talking about it there with that. I used to work. I was a mechanic, for many years,
Hmm.
and the shop that I worked in, always hiring people, always big turnover, kind of thing.
Right.
And if you didn't know something, the boss would just tell you just exactly what you said. Go Google it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know how to
And we
fix
all
this?
and we
Go
know
Google it.
Google directs you into whatever it is that Google wants to direct you into.
Hmm.
I mean, and that's actually come out now. It's not like a conspiracy theory of sorts. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
every conspiracy, given a long enough timeline, kind of fulfills it what it needs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you,
But
Independent Mary. Oh, she's so sweet. I really like her. I greet them. They're awesome. Yeah, no, it's interesting the way things are unfolding. And I don't know about you and where you are, but the people that I'm around don't want to talk about it, don't want to mention it, don't want to say anything. Like it could be like headline news, like, oh, like people who got 6 boosters are more prone to COVID, and nobody wants to talk about it. Oh, no, it's fine. Like, it's weird to me.
yeah. Here's a book written by 14 different colleges now that proves this is what happens. That don't exist. I fully agree with you. I've heard many people say normalcy bias, but I don't know if that's really the right word for it. Because I mean, it's more than having the blinders on. It's full on sticking your head in the sand and singing
Yes.
la 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 the whole time.
How can you do that with a child or children?
Hmm. Yeah, you always got to be always keeping that eye out. And
Yeah.
that's like
No.
around here. I'm normally happen to go grocery shopping or something like that with all 5 of the ones we have in the house,
Oh,
and
wow.
me running into the store.
Right.
So around here, even here in Middle America, you hit a Walmart and you better keep an eye out because I'm gonna flat out say it, foreigners. I mean that's
Mhm.
exactly what they are.
Right.
That are trying to pick up children, pick up women to, everybody knows that sex trafficking is what it's going to be. But, I mean, my wife has
That's
even personally had
crazy.
a situation to where she jumped on the phone with me and was talking to me until she got out of the
Yeah.
store,
Yeah.
with made it sound like I was in the store when so I'm very proud of her on that aspect. I
Good for her.
kind of gave her my opinion when, you know, sitting on inside her gun case is where her gun was instead of being on her. But
Right.
you know, but I mean, yeah, it's that when you're not a parent, you're only worried about you. When you become a parent, you finally understand the fact that you don't matter.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody has this high opinion of themselves, and they're so important and they're all this and that, and when it comes down to it, you ain't shit.
No.
I mean,
No, I mean, you're not, and you need to lead by example, and you have no excuse for anything. Like, when oh, I'm having a bad day. Oh, I'm tired. You don't get that opportunity, really. I
yeah,
mean, it's okay. Like, we can all admit those things, but like, you don't get to, just fold over because there's a little one depending on you.
exactly. Tired, sick, broken, battered, whatever.
Mm,
they still need to be fed. They still need to be
yep.
taken care of. I mean, something as simple as maybe just running the bathwater for them. I mean, it seems like a
They
trivial
don't ask for
thing,
much. Yeah. Yeah.
but if you don't do it, then you know it's not going to get done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where things are going in the future with things, but I think so. This is my position, and being, like I mean, I have people say, "Oh, it's great, you speak out, you do so much." And in my mind, I'm like, I don't do very much because all I do is say how I feel, which I agree it's something, but I see so many more people doing more, and it's just like the one thing that I can do is say how I feel, and saying how I feel and not being scared about it is important. And I can tell you right now, like I say to my husband, I was like, oh, like I have all these friends on Facebook, friends, whatever they are, I don't care. And, normally I get like hundreds of birthday wishes, right? But every year for the last few years it's decreased, decreased, decreased. And this last 2 years, I'm like, I think I might be shadow banned. And I don't what I put out on Instagram is not even what I put out on Facebook. It's like drips and drops there because I try to just mostly put like kid pictures because of, like we have family and what have you. But yeah, it's like people don't want to engage, don't want to look, don't want to like, don't want to anything. Now, during the climax of things when everything was going on, people wanted I feel like if they were down the street, they would fist fight me. They wanted to argue about everything. And I honestly don't try to fight with people. Like I avoid all that weird online fighting. I don't like that stuff. I think it's silly. Um, but these grandmas and aunts and this, that coming out of woodworks wanting to tell me about myself. I was like, it was weird. And now everyone's silent. Nobody says a word about anything. They're just quiet. They're sharing kitten pictures. I'm just like, what is going on with everyone? It's weird to me. I don't know. Is it 5G? What's going on?
well, see, that's kind of what I kind of get back to with that idea of that normalcy bias, because it seems like any big thing that happens, it's after a week, it's done. I mean, ever since I'll just say because I'm not gonna. Ever since COVID, I mean, because you think about it, um, well, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now, and I can still remember the fact that he didn't hang himself.
Hmm.
Um, oh shoot, had his island, had the plane come over.
Oh, Epstein.
The Epstein, yeah, that blew over real quick.
I mean,
His
he got charged.
confidant,
Yeah, got charged with all these things, but nobody knows who the perpetrators were because they can't be told.
yeah, and then the confidant, his second Maxwell or whatever, she just,
Yeah,
she's been in prison now. That list has never come out.
that's what I'm
You
saying.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, but it's over within a week, and that's like
Nobody care.
now,
Nobody cares. But they want to know, did Trump, have people have some stupid like what was it? His real estate school or blah blah blah. I mean, I don't follow that stuff. I don't care one way or the other because it means nothing to me. I don't know. Did he scam people? Maybe. Did he not? I have no idea. I don't care. All I know is he would be better than what's going on right now.
A rock and a paper sack would probably be better than what's going on right now.
For sure.
At least it wouldn't fall off the stage the wrong direction.
But people are taught to hyper focus on certain things like that, and that is truly why I think like New York votes the way they do, or Manhattan or the city area, because it's like they're taught to like hyper focus. These are the 3 points you got to focus on, and everything else you're taught to not care about. Because probably if you ask them, they would be like, "Oh yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that." But they're under a rock. We have friends down there. They're just I don't even want to talk to these people, to be honest with you, because I just couldn't even stomach them.
I can understand that one pretty well, actually.
Yeah, this is why I'm on the computer with you right now. So.
Well, I feel pretty important. I appreciate that.
No. I appreciate you talking to me. It's fun.
Well,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, so where do you think we actually kind of go from here? Are we all just end up falling for it? Do we have some sort of, say, civil war? Kind of my thought there, but it's not really going to be left and right. I think it's going to be kind of more of like parents that seem to have morals and the ones that don't.
I think that I really, in my heart, think that the majority of parents, moms, dads, that even Democratic, right? Like truly Democratic at this point, are starting to see like something that's not good. And I think even showing the polling that took place in New York City, I think it was the last I saw was like 82% voted for Hochul, right? And you have to understand there's a lot of polling in New York City that, well, obviously, I mean, anything could be whatever, but there's a lot of people in New York City that are just, single or whatever. So it's a different demographic. I think like whatever, almost like 75% of the state voted for Zeldin. And I'm not even trying to say Zeldin's like amazing, but at least it was a different thing. But what I will say is that those people weren't talking about that. You didn't hear it. So what was interesting to me is during the presidency campaign, I did see by my house, which is 2 hours north of New York City, and it's I guess the first woods out of New York City, but New York City people come there a lot, so I don't want to say I'm like so out of the woods. And we saw a lot of Biden signs, but with this last election, we saw a lot of Zeldin signs and not Hochul. But still, I think my county did like 52% voted for Hochul, because we do have a lot of people from New York City there, which kind of made me annoyed. But I don't. So I guess the long and short of it is that I think that a lot of people are swinging their thought mindset, not whether it's Democrat or Republican, but more about like what's like normal and okay for their kids and their family. But I think people are afraid to say it, and that to me that's a crime, because you should be able to speak up and say how you feel. And listen, like I go to a lot of like family friendly things, and it's not the first thing I bring up ever, probably never. Like some people who know me know that I never say anything about politics or prepping or social issues. I know how to act in the right situation, but I also know if someone wants to ask me how I feel, I'm going to share it. So sorry, that was a long-winded answer, but
No, I think it was actually a pretty good one. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. That we all need to we all need to do exactly
speak
what
up.
you're doing. We need to speak up. Everyone's got a voice, and as much as I believe this social media stuff is actually our downfall, I think
Agreed.
we need to use
Yeah.
it to be as loud as we can on it.
Right. 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 And you know what? Like I said to my husband, I was like, listen, you work, and he was working in the city in the beginning of the pandemic, and I was like, like we share similar views, and I was like, you can't go into your job every day screaming about everything, right? Like that's not appropriate. You have to work, you have to do this, but you also don't have to fall in line, which we didn't, but I'm in a place where I can say something. And I also understand because I used to work full time in a job that was like a national company where I couldn't maybe say certain things. And now I can. So I'm going to say whatever I want to say when I want to say it. And it's important to me to say that stuff, and like I'm 5'2". Like, what am I gonna do? Go marching through the streets with, ammo and guns and like nobody wants that. That's gonna be a mess. So I am gonna just keep using my voice and saying what I have to say. And if 800 people listen to me once in a blue, that's great. If they don't, that's fine too. At least I'm trying, right?
That's it. That's it right there. You're putting the effort in, and that's what's needed. We need a lot more
Yeah.
effort out there, I believe.
I think
So,
I think also the social media with the, our generation, which is nice, is we get to connect with different people from different parts of the country and on levels that we never would have. And I think that's important, like especially with all this divisiveness that's going on.
no, I agree with that too. Because I mean, that you can take any part of the country and say whatever you want about it, and then you're going to find people there that's the exact opposite of whatever just got said.
Yeah,
So, blanket statements are not going to work anywhere.
right, for sure.
But I don't know. I just keep getting kind of hung up on what things are going to look like in maybe another 10. And what we got to do
You know
with
what?
that.
Yeah, I I'll be honest, I don't do that because it kind of looks like dismal, but I think it's important to just, I focus on like trying to raise like, like a smart, confident child, and my other, even my adult children who are like coming around in different ways that I never thought they would. Um, and just keep going there with it because that's all you can do, right? Like, I'm not gonna like be depressed over things. It is what it is. Just gotta keep moving, and like I'm just happy to know that my son is, my son never had how people say, oh, the effects of COVID. No, no, don't know about that. And I lived in New York. He was living his best life, and so was I. So we don't
Good.
do,
I'm glad to hear
yeah,
that.
yeah, we're not playing into that nonsense. And and even my husband, like none of us did this. My brother, I love him, but he was living in LA and he was like, I don't go to my mailbox without rubber gloves on. I'm like, oh, that sounds like fun. Bye. No, like I'm not doing this weird stuff with all you people. Not engaging.
That I really like the sound of that. Not engaging, but at the same time, how do we change stuff without engaging? I guess.
I mean, I really feel like I guess I'm like kind of I feel that people who are being silent right now, like the people who are like, oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have taken that. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. It's not, we should not like be like, yeah, I was right, you were wrong. Like, no, you should be just showing people like, let's just be free. Let's just encourage each other. Let's do this. And I think deep down, those people want to just kind of like blend back in. I don't know. That's me thinking it. And I think that that's the way things should be. Like, because deep down, I don't think anyone wanted to hurt anyone or be mean to anyone, but it's kind of like people follow the line really quick. And I don't like it. When I see people going, everyone's going right. I want to go left. I don't like that. I wonder what's going on then.
Yeah. Once again, I think you're hitting the nail right on the head there. I definitely want to do this again. I'm not trying to cut us off here, but
Oh,
I've
no,
been
no.
hearing screaming in the
I hear
background.
you. You got
the
like a
5 of
whole
'em.
crew there.
Oh yeah. So I'm sure they're having a whole lot of fun in that living room that I'm going to have to clean up, but it's worth it while they're having a good time.
Well, it was very nice talking to you. And yeah, I think my husband wants me to come out anyway. So, or maybe not.
Don't let them lie to you. All right. But thank you very much.
Oh,
Appreciate
no, thank
it.
you. Anytime. We'll
much.
talk anytime. Thank you, Silverback.
Okay. We will catch
right.
y'all around,
And-
and I will catch everybody else later as well.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thanks for checking in.
Thank y'all. And New York Outcast, I agree with you right there. Everybody wants to fit in, and I think that's where we're going wrong. So we're going to leave it on that. Catch y'all around, and I appreciate it.